100% off the strength, man.
Off the strength.
I did it all on the strength, all on the strength. Fuck talking, I'ma do this off the strength.
Run it back, can't relax, that's just facts off the strength.
It's off the strength. Can't get that off the strength.
Let's review gyms.
3 out of 4. 3 out of 4 stars.
Hey, take it back to honor and popping. You know what I'm saying? Just tie it all in together. Write it down, Tony. This is what.
Put that shit down.
You
next
got
to that
the last
shit.
notes, the bev, the bomb, topicals and tropicals. I'm keeping a list. I'm checking it twice.
Gonna review the steamroller now. I'll be back.
Oh God! Get that out of there.
What's going on, fam? This is KR Jones of the Off the Strength podcast, and I am here to tell you to like, listen, subscribe, and if you're feeling freaky, visit offthestrength.com. That's where you can go and get more information on us. That's where we can link, we can build, we can connect, and let's make this thing work.
Topicals and tropicals, bevs and palms.
Write it down.
Yeah, I'm at the age where officially, if I don't write that shit down, it'd be gone, fam. Be gone forever.
Quick.
It's like, oh,
It'd be
man.
a beautiful idea. It'll last about, 15 seconds of fame. And if you don't write it down and do something with it, go to somebody else. That's what Rick Rubin talked about.
Smooth, bro. I just feel like, oh, man, here today, going tomorrow, man.
Pretty much.
Feeling tough about that, bro. I'm excited coming into the big game weekend, Brother Jones.
Okay.
I was thinking back to some of the best football parties that I've ever been to.
Oof.
And I also had to think about some of the worst football hosting parties that I've ever went to, man.
Uh-huh.
All right, on the weekend before the big game, I need to know from you, how do you have some telltale signs whether or not you're going to the wrong Super Bowl party when you get the invite, bro?
Man, that's a tough one, right? Because I don't want to make it a black and white thing out the gate, but it is Black History Month. My first telltale sign is going to be if you look around the room and there ain't nobody else your complexion.
You're going to be in for a long night.
That's not your team.
You're going to be
I
in
don't
for a
care
long
what
night.
team you rooting for. The room is not your team, right?
I'm going to tell you right out the gate, if you get to the party and somebody is too drunk before the game starts,
oh yeah,
you're going to be in for
the
a
word
long night,
slurring,
man.
you know,
all of that.
It's going to end up in a push-up contest and a fight, like right afterwards.
Out the gate. You already know what comes along with that, man. I'm going to tell you, if you don't like this person taste in anything else in life,
yep,
meaning they fits, how they pull up, you're going to have a bad time at the Super Bowl party,
they breath,
man. All of that.
Hygiene.
All of that, man. The non-fan invite kind of comes up for me, too, where it's like somebody that don't fuck with football at all in any way. It is like they could...
The halftime show people.
Yeah, exactly. They just want to see K-Dot do what he got to do.
In the halftime show.
That one's going to be tough. I've been a part of this next one, the beefing couple.
Oof.
Beefing couple invites you over.
Stop going out.
It's a tough song.
Figure out what y'all got going on first before y'all bring that energy into a shared space.
It wasn't quite the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But all of y'all knew that was
It's
at that last
battle.
dinner, that this was going to be the last dinner.
Yeah. I remember that.
And I got last one for me is going to be another telltale sign that you're about to be invited to some bullshit, bro. If you got somebody inviting you to a space that they shouldn't be inviting anybody over to.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, yo, check this out, fam. You don't even got the type of spot to host. It's
Respectfully,
like,
I'm keeping my shoes on if your house dirty. Take that how you want. That's just how I'm giving it up.
What's good, everybody? What's good? Welcome back to yet another episode of Off the Strength, where we're giving you the inside look into all things wellness culture. I'm a trainer called Tony, and of course, with me, I got a gentleman of extraordinary league.
KR Jones is in the building.
That's right, folks. We are back. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of all type from near and far, you are now in store for a treat because it's the return of the variety show. That's when we give you our best foot forward. So hopefully you take your best foot forward. You do that two-step, that tango, whatever it is you need to do to make it on through the week with the best goddamn wellness information available.
Yeah.
Brother Jones.
What's the word?
How you feeling today, my friend?
Man, I'm feeling like that Super Bowl combo just brought up some old feelings.
It definitely did.
You know?
It was some rehashing, man. I'm excited about coming down that memory lane again. I got a follow-up for you, though, real quick. We talked about the signs that you was about to be in for a long night on the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
What's some of the most overrated Super Bowl dishes that come to mind? Quick hit off the top.
Most overrated. It's a lot of times when people like to get that chili off.
I'm going to tell you, anything dip related is overrated.
Yeah.
Especially in the post-vid, bro. I don't want no type. The guac, I know guac is good.
Open air food.
Once you get 10, 20 people in the same dip, I don't want no parts of that, fam.
Not even a little bit. That's like bar peanuts.
I'm going to tell you pizza as well. 99.9% of pizza, I'm going to tell you on Super Bowl day, you're not getting the first draft A-list type pizzas going around. It's not really top shelf treatment. You know what I'm
You gotta
saying?
order that in advance.
Dry ass wings.
Oof.
Unintentionally dry wings.
Oof.
Those are the ones that I need to stay away from altogether, man.
Them little pigeon wings, you know what I mean? Where's the end? I
What
need
type
the
of bird
end
was this?
of my wing. It don't just come with the drumstick. I need the wing. I need
need
the
the whole
end.
joint.
I need the whole joint. This world where we live in, where they separate, is a crazy world.
Speaking of this crazy world, how was you navigating through this world this week, man?
Man, I've been fighting slowly, brother.
Okay,
You
talk to
know
me
what I'm
about it.
saying? I've been working on my jab and my footwork. Just getting back to the basics.
Okay.
You know, and I got a chance to see my lady perform
That's what's up.
at Hosper, so I've never been out there. That was a whole new experience.
Yeah, the university. I think I went there for like a half a semester.
Nice.
Yeah.
You know, it seems like a nice space. But the show was great, so it's always a pleasure for me to see her in her element. And other than that, man, I had a solid week of just running into folks I hadn't seen in a minute. Trapping out my local coffee shop is how I like to identify it as. You know what I mean? Like, it's around the block. I go there, meet up, and do a little hand-to-hand, and I'm out.
That could read so many different ways in today's
I want it
demographic.
to. Organic thug. There's the step. How was your week,
That
brother?
could be so many different things. My week has been about keeping it pushing, Kyle.
Okay.
Like, I'm going to keep pushing past all them sideways comments that you just had.
It's for those that know.
I'm going to tell you that I started off my week, and you were there too, because it definitely started on a Sunday.
Okay.
My man, the first thing out, I got to shout out to everybody over at Con Body, at Con Bud, and at Heirloom.
I almost forgot about that.
Because that workout definitely was the workout that set my pace for the rest of the week. Now, as somebody that was on the sideline, I'll let you tell it first.
I'm locked up. It won't let me out.
I had my combo workout, man. I'll let you tell the story. What's your thoughts on that, man?
I got to be a fly on the wall as brother Tony went and he activated himself with an heirloom bev and a crazy Con Body workout, man. It was good to see you back in that element. It reminded me of our full body karate days.
It definitely was full body karate.
Looking at the workout, I probably could have done it myself, you know, but I ain't trying to get too crazy out here.
I'm
I'm
still trying
healing.
to get you back off of the IR, man. You
Yeah,
didn't
for
need
sure.
to do that. But let the record reflect. I do remember when I was on the injured reserve and
Yeah.
you came in and subbed on that run for me.
Facts.
Now we even.
Okay.
All right?
Absolutely not. Absolutely
It's even
not.
though. I took one for the team this time. Next up is back on Jones, all right? So
Word. Shout out to that run in that photo.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
landed in our deck.
I left it all on the floor, Kyle. It was nothing to be had that I didn't go after in that class. And I got to, again, shout out Kaz over there because he damn sure led a class that was going to get your heart rate up, it was going to get you moving, and you was going to activate the full body, man. Not only did I get a chance to participate in that good Ouzo citrus beverage at the end.
Yeah.
I definitely touched down on the bomb because it was a bomb that I was needing getting into the joints.
For your recovery
I damn
afterwards.
sure needed that recovery, man. So, again, it was a cool way to kick off the week of working out. And it let me know that, hey, stepping outside your comfort zone and getting into a little bit more than what you think you could do is going to be okay for this week. And, Kyle, that was what I tried to live through the rest of the week. You know, I don't need a whole lot of fancy stuff. I could use literally the stuff that's around me to make me move and make me get into the type of fitness that I feel like I need to get into. And I got to shout out to Kaz, you know, using his story to get that message out. Because, fam, there's a lot of people in this world that will come up with every type of excuse to not be in better shape, to not want to push themselves forward. And all you really need is that mindset and the will to do so, right?
Yeah.
It's a sentiment that I wish I could give to more brothers that come from where I come from. And this is what I want to talk about in this week's ATP.
What's up, man?
I got to ask you about at what cost, Kyle? So this week, the world lost R&B and hip-hop pivotal figure in Irv Gotti, right? He was responsible for shaping the landscape of the early 2000s era music. I'm thinking everybody through Ashanti, you know, the Ja Rules, but he's also been inside of the Jay-Z background catalog. He was an A&R over at Def Jam, but he was one of the founders of Murder Inc. label specifically. Now, this larger-than-life character seemed to expand beyond where he was living in the music side, and Irv Gotti also had that larger-than-life aspect in personal areas of his life. Now, while the cause of his death has not been revealed, he was only 54 years old. Concerns about his health had been circulating a while now because he's been suffering from the prolonged terms and effects of diabetes. He had a stroke earlier last year, and a lot of speculation is existing around what has gone on. Now, there's going to be people talking about where his willingness to change some of the habits and lifestyle things that he had going on could have circumvented what came to this early demise, right? I don't know enough about him specifically, but I can tell you, I personally know people in my life that have suffered from similar illnesses that have also already come to a untimely demise, in my mind at least. I want to talk to those men specifically, people who have hardened themselves and survived from different times and circumstances where they had to make themselves who they had to be to get into a different level of their life. And they often were championed because they became these people who were not willing to bend their will. I understand the circumstances that make you into that type of person, but at some point, I also have to look at that as, hey, just because you had success here doesn't mean that that's the only way that you can move throughout the rest of life. So I want to know, how do we get more men in particular who have that type of mentality, that strong will, that drive? How do we get more men to realize the true cause of not being able to amend their lifestyle choices?
That's a heavy question. And the first thing that came to mind was, this is football, the big game.
All of that.
I've seen the Hall of Fame roll out where players get to announce who the next Hall of Fame players will be.
Yeah.
Shannon Sharp went to his brother to tell him that he was now being inducted into the Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. Shannon Sharp, if you don't know, Club Shay Shay,
Skip,
all of that, has an older brother that was in the NFL before him, actually.
Yeah.
And they shared this moment where they both broke down in tears, mainly more Shannon Sharp than his brother. But in Shannon just saying to his brother that you didn't have anyone before you. I'm only good because you had to be, because I saw what you had to go through. You didn't have a mold, you didn't have a guide, and you didn't have anyone else. And our father was harder on you because he knew that I was watching you. And when you really unpack something as impactful as two brothers that get inducted into the Hall of Fame, it is very rare, like LeBron and his son playing in the NBA.
Yeah.
The point in this being is there has to be a point where this evolution, this heart and self that you referred to, has to soften for sustainability, right? Like, insert any heavy metal, whatever you want to do, at some point is going to need a softer structure to help it live longer, right? It can't be this hard thing, so to speak. And finding the balance on both sides of, like, later in life when you can get a chance to be a little bit more vulnerable, when you can be a little more empathetic and start to relate to other people, that's the only way that I see this progress happening, to get past this point where we're losing people too soon because they're stubborn, because they've been stubborn since, you know, when they got popping, so to speak. Like,
yeah,
go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to cut you, man. I just totally see that. And what I take from what you said is that lead by example kind of mentality.
Yeah.
And it's not foreign to me that a lot of the people that we seem to be losing too early are some of the first people historically in their generations to get to the levels that they got to.
For sure.
Right? And some part of that mentality was needed for them to get to where they got to. Right? So I can't divorce the thought from, like, hey, part of who you were is why you got to where you were.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know if we have enough good examples of what a prolonged, healthy, affluent life of at least a black man looks like to me on a day-to-day kind of basis.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've seen what black affluence looks like. I've seen what that looks like for sports figures in particular. And then I've also seen a lot of people that kind of burn out and burst into flames a lot earlier than not. Like, you think about some of the people in just pop culture for a second. You could think back to, how long was Dick Clark rocking, fam? Like, he's one of them dudes that was doing the New Year's joint until they had to pretty much wheel him off of that. I don't know a whole lot of black male equivalents to that same thing, like, that we could actually look one-to-one and see, oh yeah, we got another person that's in that same space that is lasting as long and has as much to, you know, live for it, so to speak, right? So some part of that is like, yeah, these people are just discovering, oh, these are the King's disease ills that kind of come along with how far you've pushed it and how much you had access to. My hope is that as we start to lead by example and as we start to unpack, like, hey, some of these people, like, are dying entirely too soon from things that we can prevent, largely through modifying our behaviors and modifying how we go about our day-to-day lives. The healing that needs to happen is, in fact, evolution. So the thing that got you to the big dance, so to speak, is great, but then we also have to be able to evaluate, well, how do you make this sustainable, right? And part of that is a part of the hip hop culture that I want to see is like, yo, how do we evolve what it takes to be in the top echelon, in the creme de la creme? And I think it does come across in looking at some of the conversations that we have. It comes across in looking at some of the stories behind, like, hey, we got some of these people that are on these pinnacles that later in life, they're not doing the best. Even if it's not physically not the best, look at everyone, at least in this same era, that I would look to and be like, wow, these are the people that we want to be around. Lawsuits here and there. They got all kind of dirt on their name, doing all kind of wild stuff. Like, it's tough to look at that and be like, okay, when do we need to change? What do we need to evolve? And how do we, find maybe even new people to look at and be like, maybe this is where we should start to put this gaze, so to speak.
I'm just thinking about that list and just everything that you laid out, man. The definition of that affluent person that's healthy is a lot simpler than I think people realize. Like, it's not about the car you drive, the house you live in. It's more about like the way you live life. Are you comfortable? Are you functionally moving? Are you, able to keep up with the people that are younger than you and provide a way for them to live better than you did?
Yeah, I think for me, it's an easier pathway to see why the slip happens, because, fam, any of the stuff that you have in indulgence is going to come from a space where you did not have before.
For sure.
You don't have a whole house dedicated to your sneaker collection if you had mad shoes when you was growing up.
Yes.
That same thought process is going to be the same thought process that starts to move into your eating habits. Hey, there was some days that we might not have been able to get to it.
Yeah.
You add to that the level of life that you could live, the acceleration with all the different party favors that comes along with it, and you taking away from what sustainability and longevity can look like, right? And that's the last part that I want to talk about, is really healing the thing that is giving you that void. It's not from the absence of all of that stuff that a lot of people end up chasing. And again, this is far removed from where I was talking about initially, not speaking about Irv or anything that he's had going on in particular. When you look to fill yourself with the things that you thought you needed and you are missing those, you're going to end up having spaces in your life that are exposed to the things that I think really make you rot from the inside. Like, I can't help but look at everything that has rolled out between the last 48 hours with what Kanye West is talking about Virgil. I can't help but look at how 50 Cent was talking about Irv Gotti and see the same hurt coming from the same spaces. It's kind of like, yo, this whole forgiveness pathway and this whole forgiveness line is about your sustainability, your longevity. At some point in time, we have to figure out how to get that era and that conscious of man to heal the same way. And I really do. I'm looking all over the place that I can to find that answer, Kyle.
That's aspirational of you. I don't really have too much to add. That's a task that they need to figure out.
It damn sure is, man. And I'm not talking about them specifically. I'm thinking about all the people that I know that are kind of like them, man. You pull up to the barbershop, you're going to hear a lot of the same thought being echoed around a lot of other brothers, man. So I got to figure out a way, at least in my lifetime, to try to make my efforts be templating of something different, man. And as I'm templating something different, Kyle,
okay,
I'm gonna leave out of that ATP.
All right,
I'm gonna get into a little bit of good. I'm gonna get into a little bit of bad, and I want to talk about some questionable, damn sure, maybe ugly things this week, Kyle. That's right. It's time for this week's episode of Rip from the Headlines. And man, oh man, Brother Jones,
what's up?
Now, the first thing on my mind this week, Kyle, I want to talk to you about post-workout nutrition.
All right.
Now, I have seen my good friend, my brother, my confidant, my pal, Brother Jones over here, get a little hungry after a workout. And I'm talking about this man's whole world will shut down once hunger starts to hit him. I'm talking about
I didn't see you
meltdown.
Let's not act like I ain't see you turn up in the pandemic at a taco spot.
It was dire times, man.
Yeah, for sure.
He's breathing through mask and all that.
Because you had to order online in person. He was not having that. But continue.
That doesn't make sense. You hear how that sounds. That's why I was angry. Kyle, how do you feel about protein bars in particular?
Protein bars are not my fave, but I understand why they exist. I'm really not here for the people who have their favorite version of. You just look like a new junkie.
So what if I was to tell you that the Mars Bars company has seen the popularity in protein bars taking off, and they said, you know what? It's time for them to step up their very own performance, Kyle. And now the nutrition games are beginning because Snickers is coming into the high protein bar wars, man. I'm talking about there's going to be new to the market a 20 gram of protein Snickers bar that is going to be dedicated to trying to get the exercise lover in you to also meet the young kid in you at the same time, man. How do you feel about hearing the Mars company jumping into the protein game?
It's nasty business.
Why is that?
And it's a dangerous game. I don't need my candy to be mixed with and turned healthy, right?
Let's be honest. Some of these protein bars that was on the market were candy just to begin with.
100%. So why are we playing this game like it's not? Like, just be what you are and stop trying to blend and hide and morph into a new product. Like, they were two separate products. You either get your candy or you get your protein. You
know what side of the game you want.
You don't need both. Just because you can don't mean you should.
If you could make a favorite unhealthy snack healthy, which one would it be?
Slice of pizza. Easy.
You're going to make it the easy. Dude, what's the healthy version of your pizza? What's it going to have in it?
It's got some good carbs. You know how you need the carb load before a race, you know, the most affluent sauce, if you will.
You got a 40 gram protein slice of pizza.
Yeah, you put some protein on there, a little, you know, a fresh pepperoni or something if you need. That's all you need.
There's no such thing as a fresh pepperoni, but I'm going to keep going off of that one, man. You know, Kyle, I always known you to be somebody who would seek an alternative path, my friend.
All right.
Kyle, you've used alternative search engines before, right?
You know, DuckDuckGo.
Why would you use something like that? Tell me about that.
Because, man, I don't need the big G all up in my business.
You don't need the big. I don't think anybody else out there knows what you're talking about. What do you mean?
We're talking about when you go onto the internet, if you will, if you don't have something like a VPN that hides your location or your IP address and all those other things, there are websites that will gather what we call cookies.
Yeah, and they'll track where you're going.
They'll track what you're going, but then select things that you like and just pretty much monitor any clicks and progress that you make online and then throw it right back at you in order to make money for somebody.
Okay, well, what if I told you that inside of the alternative choice browser market, there's a new one out there that is designed with mindfulness at its core, and the critics are saying, Kyle, that they just might be convinced that this is the way that the internet needs to go going forward. Opera Air is the name of the browser. This browser is something that is going to highlight things like your sitting pattern. It's going to look at you and tell you how you need to adjust. It's going to give you things like mindfulness breaks integrated into it. Binaural beats are going to be things that you could have playing, which will help you maintain focus and also decrease stress. So they took a look at people trying to spend time on task. This company is initially a gaming company, and they saw all the different things that were making people stressed out about just being online. And they said, well, what if we made an environment that was a little bit different from that? And the users are actually saying, hey, this actually does help me feel better. The programmatic breaks alongside of the prompts to take a breath, alongside of different things to actually help you boost your performance, like the binaural beats, and help you lock in on a task, and specifically have been shown to give people the creative boost that they're looking for, but also feel energized and focused throughout the rest of their day. So how do you feel about hearing the mindfulness VPN? Because it also is a VPN, and it also keeps away all the stuff that you're just saying before. How do you feel about hearing this? And would you try on Opera Air instead of DuckDuckGo?
Theoretically, this sounds amazing. It sounds like a great tool to use and to improve your life and everything that we just spoke about prior, between an older generation needing a path into a better life of wellness, if you will. The other side of that coin for me always comes back to, we're having technology, robots, if you will, for layman's terms, tell us how to be better humans.
They've already told you how to be, though. So it's like, if it's programmed to do all the messed up stuff that you didn't want to get to already, somebody can, in theory at least, program it to do the good things. And this is the only reason why I'm going to give it some credence. It's kind of like, hey, all those other negative behaviors were also by design.
Yes.
That's the sad part about it, but that's also the truth about it.
Yeah.
So if you can make good behaviors be a part of the design, I think you might be able to get a better result.
I like this idea in theory. I would like to see it in practicality. And I would also like to see it pushed amongst a diverse population. When you speak of stuff like this, especially AI and new technology, it comes with a heavy price tag, and it never really trickles down.
Well, let's talk about some stuff that comes with a heavy price tag coming up next. Now, Kyle, I have long made fun of you for your Duck Dynasty eyewear.
You know it.
And you have also made fun of me for my incognegros, as you like to call them.
You know it.
The Ray-Ban Meta glasses. Now, Kyle, what if I told you that there was a happy medium coming to the market?
I don't want it.
Meta is making an Oakley smart glass for athletes, Kyle. Now, the smart glasses for athletes are going to be poised for the cyclist in you. They're going to have the camera move more towards the center. They're supposed to also have actual augmented reality, which is what we've been talking about on the show before. Things that will prompt you on the glasses themselves to help you have a better and more enhanced ride. Now, before I get your reaction, this has already been in workings for a long time. I will tell you, as a first-gen adopter to the Ray-Ban Metas, I'm excited about this initially, but I also will reflect your last story, and I got to tell you that we need some more athletes trying these out before you roll them out to the Gen Pop. Because, for instance, my Meta glasses and my hair texture, it always didn't work in line the same way. I like some of the features, but the playback and the in-ear audio, when you have hair that might not necessarily fall straight down, it doesn't necessarily catch you the right way. So although I'm here for some of these things, I do think we need a wider population to test them out on. What's your thoughts on this now?
I like, again, the idea. Theoretically, this sounds great. When you think about the technology of a video camera in your glasses, and it's going to give you, real-time updates, or maybe AR, some augmented reality.
Yeah.
That's fucking nuts, right?
I think that shit is dope.
And especially biking in a city like New York City, where you already have so many different sensory details around you. It gets into a slippery slope. Yes, I do 100% agree that the population that these products are, tested on, if you will, definitely needs to expand, because it's a lot of folks that are not accounted in these rooms, and that's the issue with technology these days.
I'm gonna tell you, the first Ray-Bans were not meant for anybody that was sweating at all. Now, I'm gonna tell you right now, Meta, those was trash for the workout. So hopefully these feel better and they move a little bit better.
Use a sweater.
Yeah,
you was trying to record.
I mean, I was trying to.
You was biking.
Hey, Meta, they be like. Hey, Meta. It's yo, Zuck, these are kind of trash for anybody that sweats. So I hope that y'all thought about that in the next versions.
Help out the sweaters.
Yeah, help the sweaters out. And if you need somebody that's actually riding these streets to test them out, you make sure you get them over to these good folks over here.
That is Off the Strength Podcast. You can come on down.
We at the bottom of the rock, under the rock, actually, most of the time.
Where you can see about
us. Right? All right, Kyle. The last thing that I'm checking in for this week is going to be my bingeable snow weather show that I need to check out during the next upcoming days, okay? So it looks like Netflix is dipping back into the scammer bag. And in the scammer bag, they're dipping into the health and wellness bag. And anytime you put both of those things together, I have to check it out, Kyle. Apple Cider Vinegar is the newest show that just got released on Netflix. I have not seen it yet, but I saw a New York Times article talking about what is fact and what is fiction in apple cider vinegar. Now, I
stop it right now.
Was not familiar.
Come on, man. They already took ginger ale from us. We're not taking ACV.
First of all, ACV is just the title, right? But it does refer to a lot of these pseudoscience remedies that people have been using for years that we have talked about on this very show.
You know it.
Like a coffee enema, which is something that they talk about in this damn docuseries, but they are specifically focusing on an Australian woman who was perpetuating the fraud of having cancer and scamming her whole community to get forward. And then there was another woman who was claiming things like the apple cider vinegar was helping them treat their cancer at the same time. So it's double nasties happening. Oof. I gotta see what's going on, but it made me want to think about, why would somebody go through these routes to try to come up,
for the love of money,
come up with, it's gotta be more than money to get you to motivate to lie on that level.
You'd be surprised.
With a lie that you're gonna have to, you can't keep up, fam. They're dumb lies.
Who's questioning cancer research?
A lot of people, actually. Once you start to make those claims, you get a lot of people to start to look into you.
Not after you got the bag, not after the check wasn't clear.
What do you think about between this and where they went with the Don't Die documentary? How you feel about these new health docs popping up in popularity on Netflix?
As a human being, I'm almost excited to know that I won't be alive to see how crazy the rest of this world is going to go. Like, where it's at. Like, being my mom's age right now, like, this world when I'm 60 is going to be so far removed from this space that we're at. Like, I'm not here for trying to live longer, if you will, the proliferation of the human species being held by one dude who just got the money. Nor am I here for the ACV fake cancer folks out here scamming people. It's a nasty world, man.
Nah, I'm here for that. I want to get on and learn all their ways.
So you're trying to learn how to scam?
I'm trying to learn their ways so I can outmaneuver them.
Trying to learn how
There's
to scam.
nobody that's at the top of that food chain that looks like they could be at the top of that food chain for long. If you were equally matched at that.
In a copycat economy.
All I need is the access to get to the money side. The
Yeah.
rest of these dudes, they don't really look like they built for,
It's really just algorithm. You know,
I feel like I could outpace them. Once you get to figure it out, I need to learn all the secrets, Kyle. So I ain't giving it up. I'm trying to be on the same type of time.
I'm gonna let you go on that note. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna learn about some other things in my own version of Rip from the Headlines this week.
Tell me what you saw.
You took us all over the place, so I'm trying to reel it in a little bit, if
I
you
told
will.
you it was ugly.
First story that came to my mind was Aja Wilson. Aja Wilson announcing her new Nike signature shoe.
Okay.
Now, I brought this to the good because I'm thinking about women's history. I'm thinking about Black history. I'm thinking about the sneaker world as is. All three spaces have done a hell of an evolution. And when we're in a world where there are women's NBA players putting out sneakers that look way better than the men in the NBA, a culture has really shifted. Not only does Aja Wilson have this sneaker, but she's able to pull on other creatives like a Issa Rae. She's able to be herself. She got grills in. She's able to really express who she is with the help of this major corporation. Now, I feel like I've gave Nike a lot of heat over the years, but this is one of those things where, like, when you did it right, it does look good. So how do you feel about seeing this?
I think it is something that looks amazing to see this type of progress and to be around to see, you know, the face of the like most popular athletes actually changing, and you're seeing a lot more inclusivity in that demographic. And it's also something that I think is a smart move by a company that has always been on the reaction side. I haven't seen any of the Nike critics be as loud about stuff like this because they're still leading the pack in where sport needs to be sport. Like, I can't tell you the Under Armour equivalent of this. I can't tell you. I'm talking about a female athlete doing the same thing. I can't see that in
His daughter.
She might drop a shoe soon, but in terms of where Nike is losing their, I'd say, their leadway and their headway for everything else, they are innovating in women's sports. So I can't knock them for that. And for that alone, I will salute this, man.
The only downside that I have to say about this is you know, some talk in the sneaker community.
Yeah.
But a lot of the NBA shoes now are really just the mold of what the Kobe's were.
That's what I'm saying. That's
Where
what
it's
I was
just
looking at.
kinda
I didn't
like-
want to be the person to be like, yo, that's a Kobe, but it's got like a new couple of layers on there. That is also the John Morant. That is also the Kevin Durant. That is also, I was like, I don't want to be the person to point that out. I didn't see that initially when I looked at it, but, you know, Nike's still being Nike, but there's no other women that's doing that, so they gave you a pink version. And that reason alone, I will champion this.
I'm going to leave that alone. And I'm going to slide into another segment now. Not another segment, I'm sorry. Just getting into some bad news. Like, we went from the good, now we got to go to the bad. Now, so many things have taken place over the week. You know, the news cycle changes. I'm not going to talk too heavily about the Grammys or anything of that nature, but I do want to talk about the American Heart Association.
Yeah.
Came out and said Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us has 101 beats per minute. The right tempo for hands-only CPR.
Yeah.
As a certified CPR individual, it may or may not have expired, but not, you know, I might do some things. But, you know, how do you feel about hearing this from the American Heart Association going to online to boost to this community of people this message about Kendrick Lamar's?
Yeah,
Not
I'm
Like
happy
Us?
that the Super Bowl is coming up this weekend, and I'm
Okay.
happy that Not Like Us is going to decrease in popularity every day after Sunday from here on out.
You sure?
Because The song has done everything that it needed to do, from the Grammys
It's
all the way
almost
through
a year
to
now that it's going to be stretched.
It did everything that it needed to do for a song. The last signs of the song being at all cool should be the American Heart Association picking it up. It's like, nobody should feel like this is a good thing to take forward with you. And actually, like, try to... I know they need to update it from the Staying Alive and all the rest of that kind of stuff, but this ain't the song that you want to be bringing somebody back to life with. They not like us. They not like us. It's like, if I'm dying and somebody is pumping that into
Kendrick
my
bars
chest,
into your chest, they're going to
let me die.
revive you. They're going to bring you back.
Cedric, I heard you like a young.
A minor
while I'm trying to get back to life
with the breath.
I don't want this to come back. Don't bring me back to that world.
OVO. Just right in the chest. Now step this way. Are you my friend?
That's disgusting, bro. You know what that is.
When I think about this song, and maybe this is just me being black and being in a black community, but I do feel like it has a universal cascading effect. You don't remember the last time, you know, you heard the Macarena or like when Who Let the Dogs Out. Like those songs that just kind of took over like culturally.
I can tell you when the last time I've heard those songs in particular. Anytime you get on the train and there's somebody playing the music out loud, it's usually some trash ass song like that.
And something's going down.
Yeah.
I don't know. When you think about social media and social capital, the American Heart Association, even having Instagram,
it's nasty work, bro.
It's nasty work. We're going to slide out of that. We're going to talk about some more nasty work. Now, this, I just wanted to get a live reaction for. This isn't a food crime that we're talking about. Now, when you think about Oatly, what comes to mind?
Oatly is the alternative milk that's on the market. I don't know what's going on. Oh, that looks disgusting.
Just give the people what you're looking at.
There is an Oatly belt that is squirting milk into what looks to be an espresso martini, and that's a hell of a way to advertise. I'm going to be honest with you again. In my day and age, there was some words that you could use for that that may or may not be coming back into popularity right now, but I'm gonna stay away from those words until I know definitively if we can use them or not.
I just want to talk about the oat milk taking over coffee shops in the world. Back in the day, if you wanted milk in your coffee, they gave you the, you know what I'm saying, the D, whatever it was,
Dairy,
like the whole milk. That was what
Skim.
you was getting. Skim, maybe. Then it went into the almond milk, and that was it. Oat milk came onto the scene and then just took this crazy run that's been unprecedented. But when I see an ad of someone literally with a belt of oat milk pouring into an espresso martini.
Pouring is aggressive. That was squirted into an espresso martini from a hip height holster, which is, again, it's a very specific type of crowd that they're trying to attract with this one.
The caption says, "Belt, you didn't see that coming." We're going to slide out of that, brother. And it only gets worse from there.
I think it's interesting that oat milk got stamped as something that's healthy.
It is not.
It's definitely
actually worse.
It's
but
significantly
it had
worse.
The amazing marketing when it came out. Like, it just shifted the culture of... It was the new Arizona iced tea. I ain't want to put it out there. That's literally what it was.
It's a bunch of weird stuff in it. Like, if you actually get to the bottom of it, it's like, yo, we doing a lot of stuff to market what is milk.
Name one oat.
With a nipple?
And we ain't talking about Hall.
Hall and them?
we ain't talking about them. Name one oat and show me the milk you got from it. That's all I want to know. We're going to make a hard left out of that story and get into another ugly story. Now, this came across my timeline, and it was one of those eyebrow-raising moments where you got to point the finger somewhere. Now, a Detroit rapper is suing her alleged Lyft driver for denying her a ride in her car, his car, I'm sorry, based upon this young lady's weight.
Yeah.
As a very discriminatory crime. When you look at this photo, Tone.
Yep.
First, let's just talk about the young lady who is the victim in this situation.
Yeah.
Let's talk about her size.
This is not the photo that I need to see. I need to see the car before I make any comments. So I cannot tell you. I cannot confirm or deny.
I need you to tell me
whether or not this was going in the right direction.
Regardless of what car we're talking about.
You cannot say that because this very well. I can see on the surface how this might appear to be discrimination.
I got video. Don't worry.
What type of car was it? Is the question that I have. That's the only thing that I have in question. This is not the type of car that was picking this young lady up. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I'm just tell me what the type and model of the car was, Kyle.
There's multiple cars. One was an SUV.
No, I'm talking about which was the one that she was trying to get picked up in. That's the only one that's in question.
If we talking Ubers, the basics, we talking Hyundai Elantra.
Okay.
Let's throw that out there.
Okay, if we're talking about a small size sedan.
Small sedan.
And
4 doors, small sedan.
4 doors. This is a discriminatory act because she could have gotten into the back seat with no problem.
I don't believe
Not behind the driver, but she could have gotten into the back seat with no problem.
I disagree.
I feel like that is a discriminatory act. I do. Now, if we're talking about a 2-seater car, there's just some things that can happen and some things that can't. You know, the math on that math was not mathing if we're talking about anything smaller than that. But yeah, no, I think it is discrimination. He actually didn't say, I don't think he said anything that was inflammatory up until the point where he was like, hey, you should just order a larger car, which that is an option on Uber. So or I don't know if it's an option on Lyft. I know that is an option on Uber. I don't use Lyft like that.
I'm going to say my piece. When you get into someone who's morbidly obese, that is a scientific term. I'm not calling this woman something she is not. It's a slippery slope when you are using services that are designed for a specific type of person, so to speak. Let's just say able-bodied. There is a wheelchair or accessibility,
accessoride type of
an accessoride option. But if we're just talking major or outside of a major city, like we live in New York City, I take that for granted because I'm here. But if you take Ubers outside of New York, these are people's personal cars,
right? And there's twofold to that. It's people's personal cars. As an independent operator, which is almost assuredly...
I reserve the right to say no to your big ass.
It's almost assuredly...
I'm just saying.
What you're
no, you can't get in here. Order a bigger car.
I don't know if that's the textbook version of discrimination. So I'm just going by that. That and that alone. It was like, hey, is that an independent operator?
How dare you think that you could order this small car when you and I both know that's not happening? I still think this lends into the larger issue, no pun intended. Mm-hmm. But when you think about like commercial planes, right? Like if somebody orders a plane ticket for one seat and I'm sitting next to you and your body is on my seat that I paid for, I have an issue with that.
You should take issue with that.
I'm going to say something,
yeah,
right?
That's not okay.
If you can't fit into a regular back seat, then I feel like I have the right to say no, like to be like, nah, it's not up in here.
Yeah, if you have gotten to a point, now I don't want to put the weight, no pun intended again, on the person who is offended here. But if you got to that point where normal facilities do not serve you anymore, you have to take responsibility for how you show up in these spaces.
Yes.
So you might have to account for, I might need 2 seats on this plane. So you got get your bucks up. If you want to still keep that going and you want to have access to everything else, hey, you might need to accommodate for your size. You know, you're not gonna get me to be on the wrong side of this, at least in my mind. It's like, hey, dog, you showed up like this, so you got to know that you don't take up a normal amount of volume. I don't even care what else you do. It's like there's a finite amount of space here. You decided to not fit in this finite amount of space. Now, whether or not this is an average, that's going to be determined by somebody else other than me.
More will be revealed on the story.
I hope not.
I do want to see how this plays out.
I don't want to see no more.
If you will, because it is a slippery slope.
That ain't the only thing that was slippery.
Sliding out of that. We're going to get into our Raising the Bar segment, Brother Tone.
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of all type from near and far, you are now in store to raise your bar. Brother Tone.
Yeah.
Earlier we talked about healing. We talked about healing a generation, and it's ironic to me that we always land on the same page. Today's Raising the Bar segment is going to be about social programming.
Okay.
Now, you actually mentioned this term in our last episode, Make America Healthy Again.
Yeah.
If anybody was listening out there, we just telling you to do better every week.
Trying to.
Once a week. I'm just trying to tell you, hey, man, make a better choice.
This is the thing that kept me from going as far left as I should have gone at this one point in time. I'm trying to stay right.
I'm trying to, keep the monkey off my back. I ain't a regular, but I'm telling you, if you do these things, you can live longer and do better and experience a better quality of life.
At least better than me.
That
Keep
is
going forward.
our own social programming, right?
Yeah.
When you said it initially in the episode, instantaneously, I began thinking about my own personal social programming. I'm combing through the depths of my own mind and my beliefs and how they exist present day, really just taking stock of what am I actually allowing into my psyche and what's actively happening on a subconscious level.
Okay.
In my younger ego-driven days, I would be real quick to boast about how strong I was, or when it comes to evading that outside influence or even extrinsic motivation, if you will.
Yeah.
Present day, I've grown a layer of vulnerability that allows me to be more susceptible to energies, and as well as to this idea of being empathetic to other people's existence outside of my own. It's a lot of work, right? It very much comes down to this three-dimensional chess of like, I'm playing a game within a game, right? Like I'm existing in this space, but I also have to be cognizant and socially aware of how my presence affects other people, how these programs that are being pushed out into the world, propaganda, if you will, however you want to describe it, but something is trying to occupy space in my brain and sprout ideas, inception, if you will, on some Leonardo DiCaprio shit, but then also program me in a way that has me act in a desired manner that's not my own, right? Like people are programming present day to be consumers, to be hoarders, to be overindulgent in a lot of meaningless things. Mm-hmm. And it really just took me down this rabbit hole of, yes, there are these bad intentional programs taking place, but then there's also the good, like you mentioned before earlier in, the rip from the headlines, right? Like what happens when there's a web browser that allows you to be a better human, that allows you to be a healthier version of yourself, right? If both exist, how do you then help people find that line of this is the side that you need to be on for improvement and everything else over here, hove the debt, so hopefully you don't have to go through that. Where do we find that line? Mm-hmm. That's what I'm asking you, Brother Tone.
So I don't know how to exist in life without having life also exist upon you.
Okay.
And I mean in that, like, part of the I'm not easily influenced idea is also an idea that somebody gave to you. Like that is something that was taught to you. And you start to get into the abstract of all of that. It's like everything is eventually taught to you. Everything is happening upon you. And you are somehow where ego exists is like you reacting to all the things that have had influence on you. Right?
Yes.
I don't know if I could say that there's ultimately a good and ultimately a bad. But what I can say is that everything is influencing you because of an agenda. Now, whose agenda is the winning agenda is usually what ends up creating the overarching themes that drive us to where we end up being on a day-to-day kind of lives, right? So in the idea of social programming, the architects are the first people that I come into question. Why and who stand to gain and benefit from me having this type of idea? Anytime I'm really having a mindset where I'm so locked in and I'm so strong and I know that this is the only way that can be, is an invitation for you to really take a step back if you have that time and if you have that space to really evaluate your decisions. Where did this come from in your life? From your religious practices to your political views to how you approach your relationships to how you decide what you put on your plate. All of this stuff has been placed upon people often in life without anybody ever having the ability or the curiosity to evaluate it at a high level. That evaluation does cost you something. And that's the life that I try to live is examining all of these things. I can't tell you that that's always going to bring you happiness. But the pathway for you evaluating whether or not you truly do believe in what it is that you're doing, templating, and chasing, that's the only way that I think that you can get to finding your own personal path to what is good for you. What is ultimately going to lead you in the path that once you tussled with all of those different ideas, here's where you want to go, here's the desire, and here's what moves that forward. Now, it's still going to be somebody's template, somebody's design, but at least you made an active choice to go into that direction. That's the best advice that I can give you.
I'm thinking about the TikTok clip I saw. There was a guy that was talking about the difference between people that are thermostats and people that are thermometers.
Okay.
And he was talking about, like, there's people that change the temperature of a room, and there's people that exist about the temperature, like exist within that temperature of like, all right, this is what it's like. I'm going to fit in. I'm not going to say I'm cold, I'm freezing because everybody else looks like they're all right. So I'm supposed to be here. There's that person that comes in and was like, hey, it's freezing in here. I'm going to go ahead and turn this dial up and turn up the heat a little bit. And when you think about that conceptually with this idea of I have to test my beliefs often, I have to stand on whatever those beliefs are. But then if this is something that has to be taught and I don't have anyone in my circle that can teach me that, I need to go find that. I need to go seek that, right? That's your journey. How many people think about this idea of reaching enlightenment, right? Like I studied Buddhism when it was in undergrad. It was one of my electives. I had yoga and Buddhism.
What was her name?
Listen, the yoga class, I can tell you. The Buddhism class, that was all me. I was just genuinely curious. Now, if we talking about Marlena in the yoga class, she ran track. She's a mom now. Nonetheless, when I'm thinking about this idea of enlightenment, right? Like I'm seeking the highest version of myself. And if I don't have the tools for that, then I need to seek the teacher. I need to seek someone who's done it. I need to seek someone who has this information. And that is the only way that you can close that gap on what social programming for yourself can look like, because I don't think inherently social programming is a bad thing, but I do think when it's done on a subconscious level or not done intentionally, that's when you get into someone else actually manipulating you, and that is what I believe is the predatory behavior.
I think the inverse of that, though, is you choosing to not live inside of society, right? So overall, we are adhering to some form of social programming because we've agreed to be a part of the same society.
Yes.
Right? The people who are on the extreme fringe, who choose to reject that at all costs and go against conventional wisdom just to go against that, are some people who don't want to subscribe to that same level of thought, right? So I don't want to live on the fringe, and I don't want to just march blindly in the direction that, everything that somebody tells me is going to be truth all of the time. There is a in between, and I think that's often where most people need to be coalescing. It's kind of like, hey, you need to take some cautionary optimism into this direction. There's some things that are going to be good for all of us.
You need the unbeaten path within the path that existed. I'm not saying go here, but don't go swimming without a paddle, because you're going to end up on your ass.
You never want to go full yay. Ultimately, at the end of the day.
Never go full Kanye. We're going to slide out of that segment, brother, and we're going to slide into our Relaxation Responsibly segment, which is brought to you by me. That is KR Jones telling you to come kick it with me at Frequency Movement for my Roll Up and Roll Out class on Wednesdays, or my Elevated Yoga class on Saturdays at 11 a.m. Brother Tone, tell the folks how you relaxing responsibly this week.
Man, I was relaxing responsibly this week, Kyle, by playing a game of the dozens.
Okay, who you was playing it with?
Inside of the barbershop with some 50-year-old man.
You ain't got no jokes.
I definitely had some jokes tried to be thrown my way, my man.
I hear you.
First thing you walk into a brand new barbershop, in the neighborhood they've seen you in before, they going to definitely have some questions as soon as you walk through the door. Mine is always going to come down to the footwear, man, and the feet.
For sure.
And it's kind of like, yo, what size is those, man? What's going on with them shoes over there? You don't wear that size. Why you always sizing up? You too old to be sizing up like a little kid. You finished growing.
B9 with 17s. You're like, wait, what, man? Yeah, that's crazy.
Nah, man, it's something that took me right back to childhood to be like, yo, there's people gray in the face that are still playing the same games that I've been playing since the back of the bus.
You gotta be quick with them. You gotta shoot from the hip.
It's like, oh, I ain't that old time. I'm gonna let the first one go free. Next one, we gonna start talking about how you limped over here.
It's gonna cost you. You got a little hitch in your giddy up.
Nah, man, but it's that level of welcoming and that level of going back and forth with something that definitely brought me back some nostalgia. So I was feeling pretty good about that, man.
Man, I ain't cracked on nobody in a long time, but
Off rip, there's somebody that you don't know. It's just on assumption.
I got it in the tuck though. Don't ever think it ain't on me because I'm a kid that had a gap in the '90s, so I didn't heard.
Had to be ready.
I done heard any and everything, you know.
Yeah, man.
So I love that for you, man.
How was you relaxing this week, bro?
You know, my YouTube algorithm has taken a left turn into black exploitation films.
Okay.
So I was home watching The Spook Who Sat by the Door.
Okay. I've read the book. I've never seen this.
The movie is
I didn't
quite
know that there was a
interesting.
movie.
It's a 1973 movie, and it was one of those things where you really start to appreciate storytelling, but then also seeing, you know, Chicago in 1973 and the issues that they were having, and looking at the world in 2025 like, God damn it, we're in the same place. How do we do this? People still having issues with the police? Wow, it's still colorism issues? Damn, it's still prostitution happening on the whole. Damn, we in the same fucking place 50 years later. So that was one of those things where, as aggressive as I sound, it was relaxing to know that I'm not crazy. The world is just in one of them wild ass cycles where we have spun out of rotation and anything is happening.
Yeah, man. Anything and anything is going on. And it is definitely something that every day I'm not surprised by anything that I read in the headline. It's just kind of like, yeah, that seems about right. What, 2025 is like, we don't have to ask about any of these drones that's going past, and ICE is doing all kind of crazy stuff. And yo, is Elon like in charge now? Like, what's happening?
Yep, I think he is.
It's like all of that. It's just like, all right, cool. I guess that's all in line.
I don't know where we are. I'm just trying to do my best to keep my subconscious clean, if you will.
You know, something that helps me keep my subconscious clean, Kyle, is going to be something that I want to talk about in this Mind Over Matter segment. Now, I missed this the last week.
Okay.
So I needed to make up for it this week, and I'm going to keep it short and sweet, my brother. I want to talk about this personal development segment that's really going to help people get into the right mind state to thrive in 2025. Kyle, quick. You need to just make sure that you keep mentorships in all parts of your life, in all phases of your life. Initially, I think about mentorship. You think about some big brother kind of situation. You know, the YMCA, you patting a little kid on the head. They throw you a ball, teach you how to, you know, maybe play back and forth. That's usually where mentorships kind of stops in a lot of people's lives. I'm going to tell you, at every pivotal phase of your life.
Hey, man, pull your pants up.
Right? Stay away from drugs, kids. You keep it moving. Seriously, as you age, hopefully you get the opportunity to age gracefully, you should be looking at people and looking to people who have passed these mile markers and seeing how much you can learn from them. Because if you are able to learn from people in your peer group or above your peer group that can actually talk to you about the craziness of the world and how they navigate it through, the things that make it seem like it's hyper personal and hyper just only like the bad and the negative, the bombastic kind of stuff. If somebody has navigated through that and they got to a place that you want to be in, pay attention to what that person is doing. Understand how you can learn and shorten the distance and shorten hopefully the time that it took for them to get there, for you to get there, man. So I'm looking for new mentors in a lot of different phases of my life, and I'm glad to have had some people that I can call on at any point in time to be like, hey, I got a couple questions about this whole next phase of life. Like, let me ask you something.
I love that, man. And I do want to expand on that just a little and tell people that mentorship should happen, like you said, in all different categories of life, right? Like, you should have the rich friend, the dude that's financially stable that you can pull on his ear a little bit, be like, yo, man, tell me how you navigated through this. You should have the healthy friend whose body is in shape that'll be like, hey, man, how many times a week you work out? Like, what you get into? You know, you should have the travel friend, the friend that everybody got that one friend that's never in the country some way, somehow, but we all grew up around the same time. Like, so talk to that friend and really start to expand your circle and your reach with those that have done something masterfully.
Yeah, man. It doesn't have to always be somebody that is, again, like I said, in some older kind of perspective. You can go across your peer group. That can make a lot of sense. You're trying to shorten the gap, making those smart cuts, Kyle. Not the shortcuts, but the smart cuts, my friend.
If you're out here taking shortcuts, you're going to get cut short.
Man, speaking of cutting short, Kyle, I think we get down to the end of this situation.
I kept it black and kept it brief.
I definitely appreciate that, man. I hope that you continue to keep it black and brief throughout your navigations this week. I'm going to tell you, man, I'm hopeful that I get to enjoy some much needed quality time with the people that I love in the upcoming days, and I cannot be happier to do so. What are you hopeful for this week, man?
I'm hopeful for a reevaluation of your own social programming. I want people to really take stock of what is influencing them and really just pay attention to that internal reflection of why do I feel this way because of. Answer those questions, and once you get an answer, take your two-step, your tango, whatever it is you need to do to get on through with the best goddamn wellness podcast available because Off the Strength told you so.
That's right, man. And if they were looking for the good folks over at Off the Strength, you know, we come in here live from Newsstand Studio on the block of the Rock. Kyle, where would they need to find us?
You can find us online at offthestrength_. If you're feeling freaky, you can visit offthestrength.com. So you can visit, you can see us, we can link, we can build, we can make this thing work. If you can't make it into Rockefeller Center, you could always visit Instagram at Rockefeller Center or X at Rock Center NYC.
Once again, it's been another fantastic episode of Off the Strength. I'm a trainer called Tony.
KR Jones.
Peace and much love to y'all out there. Until next time, we'll see you soon.
And good.
What's good, everybody? I'm a trainer called Tony, and I am here from the infamous Off the Strength podcast, asking you today, listeners, viewers, wherever you may be, to please like, listen, and subscribe to our podcast. This is how we're going to continue to be able to deliver you the best goddamn wellness information out here. So if you want to keep hearing this and you want us to keep growing, you are a part of this show just as much as anything else. So please go to offthestrength.com. Make sure you check out our blogs. Make sure you check us out on IG. And if you're hearing this voice and you didn't hit that subscribe button, know that Kyle is going to come looking for you.
You got that right.